Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we are back to another live stream of Hearthstone. So I have to, first of all, just fully apologize, and I probably will do it multiple times throughout this stream, for the complete pile of poop mess that my last stream ended in. I was in every way hoping to play people and get these quests done and just get that extra gold, and my internet servers, kind of for the first time in my experience, decided to go out at the most inopportune time possible. So I just, and it stayed out all day. Wasn't until late into the evening that I could get back on. At that point there was little reason to try to stream again and potentially lose it. I'm not expecting any internet trouble today. If I do have some, it's probably then a cause for major concern. I did trade all the daily quests every single day, and still ended up with 180, but I have gotten very lucky with 200. And I also played late in that night. Since I really hadn't accomplished anything, I got all the daily quests done and all of the other quests for the European and the Asia market too. So that means we are in a good position. So right now, just by default, we can't really afford to do an arena run as much as I would like to. I did need to come back and purchase a new one. That is something I was thinking about. So we need 5 victories with the rogue or the warrior. Let's see what we can do. Well, rank 19. That's not too bad. Or we could play rank 25 on standard. Can we play standard? Well, we could. We could give it a try, I suppose. Let's just play a little bit of standard gameplay. There really isn't enough time to play ranked. I've tried to change my layout here, but Hearthstone deck trackers is not making it super easy. Like, I've got it down to 90% so I can get my mouse somewhat a little bit easier over the decks, but that's not working very well. Maybe there's a different way I could implement that. Let's see. Whenever a minion takes damage, I'll hold on to that one. YouTube was a little bit slow on announcing that I was live, but it did get it to work, so that's not something I have to complain about. We don't really have a lot of news.
It's time for a little blood.
So we don't have to worry too much about that. In fact, I'm in a weird position now because ideally, particularly right now while we are getting the 200 gold, since Ben Bro, the creator, the guy in charge of running this game, refuses to tell us when this Fire Festival, 4th of July festival is going to end. Since we don't have that bit of information, we don't know. Let's see, if I do this, no, I want to do this on my own guy and then attack. Like, I want to get as much gold as possible so I can at least get the first part of the solo adventure for the other Asia for the European and Asian accounts. That's mostly all I really want to do. After I have that 700 gold, I have no real reason why I would want to focus a secondary. Let's see, this, this. We're balancing things out pretty nicely here. So, right now, yeah, I have 3 times as much gameplay as I'd like to have. And the Asian account in particular is going to be pretty difficult because there's nobody that plays on the Asian account. Still, priority is most definitely. Let's see, should I do this?
It's time for a lot of blood.
I've got to kill this guy. There we go. So as things were going last stream, there was we were breaking down into some real chaoticness, definitely. Things I had been thinking about certainly were popping their head about. Just a lot of people commenting, and I love people commenting, don't get me wrong for a second, I want people to comment. But because of the way that was just having the chat wander, the chat fly by, and a lot of people wanting to play me, and then having to implement a first come first serve. So starting now, I might give some special preferences to Mahmoud, who's wanted to play me for months and months, and he was on the European account, so I couldn't play him until I had done all the extra work to get on the to get my European account set up. So yeah, I'd give him special preference if he wants to play me, and I would give Kofi, I think, was the other guy that was going to play me after Mahmoud. We were right in the game with Mahmoud, halfway, like we just started, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he felt like I was just trolling him. And I want to say, put it out there, I in no way was intending to troll anybody. My internet really did go out. This is the first time this has ever happened in a daytime hour or evening hour. Usually, when my ISP wants to take out my internet, they do it on Sundays in the middle of the night. But anybody new, anybody else going forward, it is a complete desire to just first come first serve. Whoever wants to play me is going to have to either, I don't know, I think that it's just gonna be, let me know in the chat if you want to play me, and then I'll take a break when I'm at the main menu, and then whoever sends me an invite goes. I accept first invite, and we'll try to keep it like you get one game if there's a bunch of people. We'll do multiple games if there's nobody else online. I think that's fine, and so it's just gonna inherently be an unfair system. Like it's almost impossible in the real world to create fair systems, and so we're just gonna have to try to all be as mature and fair as we can possibly be, and keep this happy and friendly. What you want? The other thing certainly is when people were talking to me that is a completely different experience than me covering the news. And I'm not sure if anybody really even wants to hear the news, but it gives me something to do when there's nobody around, which right now that's kind of is the case. So I want to cover that before anybody shows up. So let's start.
Let's make magic.
Somebody played the Fallout Anthology in a speed run in 1 hour and 37 minutes, so they must have been glitching a lot. You might want to check it out. I tried to watch it. It didn't catch my attention very much. In all honesty, for the Fallout series, I probably would prefer to know what was happening in the story more than to know what was happening in the gameplay loop. And since they'd be breaking the gameplay loop anyways, doing a speedrun, there's not much you would really see. In a similar way, there's a mod for a Dark Souls boss rush mode that potentially bugs your characters and is its own separate exe executable that they say if it gives you any trouble, just use a run it as administrator, which isn't very secure, but people do it on all kinds of programs all the time anyways. It's an interesting idea, like, particularly if you're trying to get good. I didn't even mean to use that pun on Dark Souls. Like, if you're just trying to practice the bosses and getting to the bosses doesn't concern you at all, then it's an interesting mod, and it would speed up the process. It's something I wouldn't mind seeing in one of the speedrun series, is all of that. However, that being said, it is also worth pointing out that Dark Souls, as I understand it, is 50% defeating the bosses, but 50% getting to the bosses, and that there's a bunch of booby traps and potential cheap shots and enemies hiding around corners that can attack you. And so if you're taking out half of the game just to rush to all the bosses, you're having a very, very different experience than what was intended. That being said, the bosses are probably the most cinematic and most fun parts, although in my small experience of playing, I think I played Dark Souls 1, I didn't find it particularly fun even doing the bosses, because it was a lot of dying over and over again. Like, the average to less than average good player for Dark Souls games, I don't think are going to have a good experience. We have Mahmoud online saying hi, Rydo. Hi, Mahmoud. I want to once again apologize. My internet shot out. I don't know if anybody saw the messages and the comments I put. I couldn't even find a way, because my internet was out, to put out a message that my internet was out, which was very frustrating. And we were playing last time, and if you want to play after this game, I'm more than willing to do that. In fact, I'd love to do that because I'm trying to get extra gold on the European account. And so far so good on my internet today. I don't think it's going to go out. I'm hoping, at least. Moving on with the news, that Japanese-only game so far, Gintama, that was previously announced, is coming to Asia for the PS4 with English subtitles. So I imagine heavily what's going to happen is, in a week or two, they will trickle out another announcement saying that it is coming to the West, because the Japanese usually don't spend the effort to have an English translation on a game just to get importation from the West. That they will get a publisher, I'm sure. This must be Ice Block. Here. Nidhogg 2 is coming to PC August 15th. Not really much to say there. It's a game I would like to play, but I'm not going to have anybody to play it with me, so it won't happen. Let's see, is there anything I could do? Nope. We'll just end the turn. At EVO this year, the Smash Brothers clone called Icons Combat Arena was announced. It's based off the mod of Smash Brothers called Project M, but it doesn't have any of the the Nintendo characters, and so it's gonna be this free-to-play game, which means I probably won't ever touch it, just because if it's free to play, there's really no reason for me to review it. In my opinion, it's just not worth the effort. But it looked good for its so far as it's developed, and I know that I think there's at least a couple of Smash Brothers clones that are coming to PC. I'm not sure if that's really going to get it. Why did you switch accounts? This is interesting. We have a new account on the chat called Black in Black, and he says, "Okay, I'll play It's Me, Mahmoud."
What now?
Why would you switch accounts on your YouTube profile? I guess it doesn't really matter at any point. Oh, it's from my brother PC. Okay, that would explain it. Alright. Well, as long as you can log into your Hearthstone account so that you are still on European servers, right? And with the same login. Otherwise you would have to send me another friend request with a different account. Nintendo has decided to cease production of the new 3DS worldwide, but that does not include the new 3DS XL, and it doesn't include the new 2DS, which is new 2DS XL, which is kind of the replacement there. So it seems mostly that Nintendo's just decided to stop using the 3DS technology, which, whatever. I mean, it didn't work, and it certainly doesn't stand up to ideas of like VR these days. I think they probably did a great job with the 3DS technology in selling a portable thing. I play on my phone and watch it from my PC. Okay, well then that will work. Windjammers is coming to the PlayStation 4 and Vita on August 29th. Another announcement. Here's an interesting sort of video game related story. There has been a steep decline in Ethereum, which is kind of a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, and because of that decline, the bit miners that were buying up all of the GPUs and making it practically impossible to pay the actual suggested retail price up for a new video card are now trying to sell the video cards that they had bought to recoup some of their losses. So beware out there if you go to sites like eBay or any place where you would have shady dealers selling things used or selling used products as new, as far as video cards. I would not suggest anybody buy a video card that had been used for crypto bit mining, cryptocurrency mining. That seems like you're buying something that has been pushed beyond its specifications, beyond its limits. It's probably been overclocked very high. It's probably been run rather hot. And I just don't think that that would be a good investment of your money. Hopefully what this will end up doing, though, is it will make it possible in the next few months for people to just buy the new cards that get produced without having to pay a high premium because of the demand being so high for crypto mining. A odd announcement here that really had me very interested when I first looked at it, called the StarCraft 2 War Chest is going to be available later this week, and it goes away October the 4th, and it's $10 per race or $25 for all 3 races, and apparently you can only buy it once, and even if you don't do much with StarCraft 2, it includes a Hearthstone card pack and other things for all the other Blizzard games. And so I was looking at this, writing it down and going, hey, this might be a good idea, because I was thinking that the War Chest was like the battle chest that they did for StarCraft 1, where you got StarCraft 1 and then the 2 expansions to StarCraft 1. Unfortunately, that's not what it is at all. And my heart kind of sank when I was reading this and doing the research and going, oh no, what this really is it's just free-to-play purchases of skins and decals for your game. Yeah, after this game, Mahmoud. So, yeah, I guess if you want skins and decals that you can get for StarCraft 2, it still might be a decent job to pay what was it, $25 for all of that? It's kind of a ripoff, honestly. I wanted the StarCraft 2 War Chest, particularly since I don't have StarCraft on my Battle.net account. I don't have any of the other Blizzard games except for, I guess, Heroes of the Storm is free, or Overwatch I think you can get free. So I would like to get on the next... I would like to get at some point, cheaply, StarCraft 1, StarCraft 2, Diablo 1, 2, and 3. It'd be nice if they put Warcraft on the game instead of just World of Warcraft. Some of their older games. I'd like to just have them because I seriously doubt the Blizzard games are ever going to come to Steam, and that's my default thought is I would hope that they would just come to Steam and make it easier on me so it's all in one place, but I don't think Blizzard's ever going to do that. And speaking of almost being tricked into spending money, American McGee, creator, I suppose, of American McGee is Alice. American McGee is actually what he changed his name to, and I think he's working out of China now. He's in a weird way. Has blog posted specifically that he has no authority over the Alice series. Alice Madness Returns still is not available for purchase on Steam right now. So in his blog post he's asking people to stop bugging him about it. Instead you should bug Electronic Arts. And if you think about it, you know, that E3 press conference with Electronic Arts, if they had announced that at some point in the next 2 years they were going to release a new Alice game, that would be rather amazing, and it would have certainly made that press conference a lot more interesting, instead of it just being, oh, here's a football game. I think there was a basketball game in there. They had that independent game called A Way Out or No Way Out announced. But there was, for the EA press conference, only like 5 games. They could have done a simple trailer of Alice and then stretched it out for years and years. And got that fan base. In a weird way, though, the only reason why this is getting press conference is because American McGee has this Kickstarter for a real-world card game that's also also like an art project called Out of the Woods that his Kickstarter just started. So he really doesn't have any funding, and he will work with EA, but he doesn't kind of really work for EA. His ideas are weird, and let's face it, Alice is weird. A weird niche goth Alice in Wonderland game that just isn't going to appeal to the mainstream, and I think that's probably why he's in China, is he can sell things. He also has this some connection to a side merchandising place where you can get your Alice based purses and things, merchandise for sale, that he kind of pointed towards that. There was also this side Kickstarter that's already finished called Alice Other Lands, which was an art book and a Blu-ray or DVD and a couple pieces of music. It was a real experimental, like 2 videos that barely equal 20 minutes. I watched it, I downloaded it. You can get it all free if you can find the Alice Other Lands place. Frankly, it's not worth your time. So I would recommend, if you're gonna download the videos, get the DVD. Don't waste your bandwidth with the Blu-ray and your hard drive space, because it really is nothing. It's like 2 artists did fan art for Alice, the Alice series, and it doesn't really add anything or do anything. And the artwork's completely different. One of it's the second one's done through puppetry, and it's not even artwork. The first one's done through very bad CGI. I almost certainly would assume that American McGee has this character living in their head of Alice in that series, and so it's an obsessive thought that he continuously works on. Wow, I'm gonna get wrecked here if time doesn't run out first. Did he hit himself? Ooh, has he messed up? Like, the turn's already over. Tragic Master is back on. Good game. So yeah, American McGee did mention he thinks EA probably will have a finishing thing, a final or a third game. There's enough of a niche audience that's rabid enough about that series that I think it's going to happen. But he himself is clearly underfunded. People don't want to give him as much money as he wanted. Unlike several creators in Japan, where they can convince companies to give them budget to do their weird, crazy projects. In the West, it's a lot harder to get that to work and that to happen. I'm switching over to the European account for Mahmoud. So, yeah, we probably will see an Alice. It'll probably be kind of cool to see another Alice game.
What have you unearthed
But
today?
this Overwolf in-game dock thing is the arena. We're a little bit off on the gold here, but what I'm trying to do right now is play 30 rogue cards or win 2 games with Shaman or Warlock. If Mahmoud wants to do all of that, that is fine with me. I'll check. And see, I have card packs I need to open, and I didn't want to open those off screen. Speaking in similar ways of how the West really doesn't want to fund artists and their crazy ideas, Mark Laidlow, who is the series writer for Half-Life 2, and was one of the 4 or 5 writers of Valve that quit. He has come back in an interview and he said that more than likely Half-Life 3 would have ended on a cliffhanger and there would have been no resolution. That the way he understood the sentimentality was for writing this game is that if there was a Half-Life 3, it would end on a cliffhanger. If there was a Half-Life 4, it would end on a cliffhanger. If there was a Half-Life 5, it would end on a cliffhanger. And it never would have finished everything up. So that's a rather nice thing, even if it's not true to say, because this lets people down rather easily. Since it's almost certain you're never going to see a Half-Life 3. But you never know. But it's nice to say, look, we weren't ever really planning on writing this in a good fashion. Let's see.
What you want?
I'll go ahead and play this first. So take that as it is. It is also, of course, worth mentioning he doesn't work for Valve anymore, so it's possible, although I wouldn't bet on it, that all the writers of Half-Life and all were asked to leave in a sweeping change so that you could so that they would be able to replace the writers with somebody who might actually do something different and get something done. That is a possibility. Yeah, we may. It is feasible that Valve came out and said, look, we've got this new writer writing Half-Life 3, we're really gonna make it. The reason why everybody else was left is because we had a new vision for it.
Handle it.
Give a character +3 attack this turn. Let's see. Attack.
Time for killing.
That and that, I suppose. Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out for the PS4 and Xbox One in 2018. And in that same Square Enix announcement, a new game was announced called Toy Story World. And there's a Kingdom Hearts iOS and Android game coming out too. This is confusing. I suppose it just kind of shows you that Square Enix, I guess, wasn't running out of budget just because they didn't have money. They were running out of budget, as I was speculating, because they wanted to focus on other things. Remember, the IO Interactive company, the people that created and were running
The frost wolves stand ready.
what was it? Hitman. They seem to be underfunded and out of and
Time for
and
chilling.
of no interest of Square Enix, and now Square Enix is after saying that they wanted to sell this. Maybe this is all connected. Maybe they had to sell IO Interactive to get enough funding so that they could continue to fund Toy Story World and Kingdom Hearts 3. It seems like an odd priority choice. Let's see. Fury.
Time for chilling.
This. And this.
Time for chilling.
In return. The Humble Bundle this month has almost every Telltale games in it, but it is missing a few of the bad ones. Telltale made a CSI game that isn't in it. It doesn't have Jurassic Park. It doesn't have Back to the Future. Come to think of it, I'm not even sure it had the I'm not even sure it had Sam and Max in it.
The frost wolves stand ready.
But it's all on Steam, and I suppose if you don't have the Telltale collection and you don't want to wait till the next summer sale where it probably would be cheaper, although it may be a good deal now, it's not going to be an awful deal. The way Steam works, I bet you could probably buy the Humble Bundle, get all of these Telltale games, and then complete your collection through Steam during the Steam Summer Sale for just a few more dollars. So I've played most of the Humble games. I would say the good ones are probably worth playing once. They can be frustrating, they can look bad for their age, certainly, but they're not so awful that I'd say I missed it. Tragic Master. Tragic Master, last day of Double Gold, I think. Feels bad, man. Do you have any reason why you think today's the last day? Because it'd feel a little odd on a Monday, but I have no idea. You may be right. I got kind of that feeling too, because I got a deal 7 victories and get 100 gold quest, and that's being doubled to 200. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes all the way up to the new expansion. But if Tragic Master has some inside info or a reason, that would be helpful for everybody. There was a new Hob trailer, yet they still don't have a release date other than 2017. Hob is a game that's in troubled development. I can pretty much guess already. Let's see if this wins.
For the horde.
Got it. Mahmood, let me know if there's something you want me to do to help you get daily quests done. Festival of Ragnaros was supposed to be 2 weeks from Brawl Day, so when the new Brawl starts, Double Gold ends. Well, definitely a logical guess. Why did I just get a new quest? You get new quests at different time, I think, based on what time it is, I guess, in Europe. Another good game from Tragic Master. Crystal Dynamics is having its 25th anniversary. Crystal Dynamics, the maker of the Tomb Raider new games. And so they're having a sale, but it's through a weird site. They link directly to the site, but I kind of wouldn't trust it just because it's unfamiliar. I guess that's the Walmart syndrome, though, is everybody goes to Walmart or Target because they're familiar with it and they don't want to go to the small indie shops because they're not familiar with it. Mahmoud says no, nothing. Okay, well, as you can see, I've got a lot of quests I'd like to get done, particularly if Tragic Master is right and today's the last day for the gold. Kind of in sad news, kind of doesn't matter. Might Magic Showdown will be shutting down and they're going to refund it. Refunds will be offered is exactly what they said. Now, from all accounts, Might Magic Showdown was an awful game, very boring, player versus player with probably no player base. But it did have that really good miniature painting side program that people seem to like. So maybe that will stay around or get reused. Might Magic as a series should be bigger than it is, and it's been mishandled, and this is probably an example of it being mishandled again. In an interesting piece of Mahmoud says, I will help you, thank you.
Very hard.
That's what I was hoping for, is people helping me get victories so I don't have to bang my head against playing ranked, particularly on the European and Asian accounts where I don't have any cards at all. The BioWare boss, Aaron Flynn, has quit a couple months now after the release of Mass Effect Andromeda. He was 17 years with the company, and he is being replaced by the Mass Effect series project director, Casey Hudson, who left the company in 2014 and went for Microsoft and worked on the HoloLens project, which is probably a project that's not succeeding that much. And in his goodbye letter, Aaron Flynn said that he just kind of thought what he should do when his replacement expressed interest in coming back, and so it's out with the new, in with the old guy. Is this gonna bring us back to the glory days of Mass Effect? Which I would assume has to be the Mass Effect 2 glory days, because Mass Effect 1 had some major problems, and Mass Effect 3 had some major problems with the ending. So, yeah. It's almost like a soap opera. One guy's out, one guy's in. It's like some of the WWE wrestling things they used to do, where one guy's in charge of the wrestling company this week and another guy's in charge of the wrestling company the other week. I imagine there might be a little bit more animosity into it, because there was always this possibility the two of them could have just stayed and worked together if they wanted to work it out, and that kind of doesn't seem like that's the case. And see, that leaves me with no more news, so I've finished the news and I can just focus on playing the game. So if people want to chat more and be more focused on it, I just yesterday finished playing The Secret of Monkey Island 2, and I played that 3 times so I could see the developer commentary, which is completely pointless. They don't say a single interesting thing throughout the entire game. And because I played that game 3 times, it went from the first run taking 10 hours to a second run, which was a speed run to get achievements, taking an hour and a half, to the third run walking around trying to let's see, I'm gonna go back and then ask send a friend request again. I need Druid or Rogue now. So we need to play Rogue. So here we go. I don't like how you cancel your friend request just to go check out your daily quests. They should just put the daily quests somewhere up here on this screen. Monkey Island 2's is alright. It's not as good as the first game. The first half of the game is really good. But then the second half of the game is rushed, and it just spirals down to an awful cliffhanger ending that was very controversial, and it's just a dumb ending. And it takes away and invalidates everything you've been doing in the game up to that point, and makes the entire story pointless, and it's just bad. And then I'm in this weird situation where Monkey Island 1 and 2 are made by Ron Gilbert, and then you can't really anywhere get Monkey Island 3, which was called Curse of Monkey Island, or Monkey Island 4, which was the Escape from Monkey Island. So then I have to now skip right to the Telltale remake of the game Tales from the Monkey Island, which may also be one of the games that isn't available in the Humble Bundle. So you're skipping the Monkey Island 5. Ron Gilbert specifically says if he ever got the rights back from Disney now, since Disney owns LucasArts, he would start with a Monkey Island 3 alternative and throw out what was done in Tales and Curse and Escape. This very possibly may be one of these series where the first game is good enough, kind of like Broken Sword. The first game was good enough, the second game was alright, and then by the time you're at the third, fourth, and fifth version of the game, that they aren't worth mentioning or playing at all. That certainly was the case with Broken Sword. It was, by the time I got to 5, that was just total garbage. They did not know how to make a point-and-click adventure game. And then maybe one of the interesting things that was said in the developer commentary is, back when they were making those point-and-click adventure games like Monkey Island 2, their 900 number that would charge you like $2.99 a minute to talk to the tip line and get solutions to puzzles, was making more money for the company than selling the games, is what they said. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's exactly the case, and it would certainly explain why a lot of the old point-and-click adventure games are insanely cryptic with their moon logic, is because they were trying to sell tip numbers, or get people to call tip lines, or sell walkthroughs or guides back in the day before the internet existed, and you can just look up answers. So I'm looking for quick victories here. So I'm just trying to pound Mahmood in the face as fast as possible so I can get all 3 of the daily quests done. And once the double gold goes away, I probably won't come into the European accounts just at random. If there are people that want to play me on the European account, they're gonna have to let me know and just say, look, I'm over here. Because I can't make this every 3 days. I do 9 different Nintendo powers my tip line, says Tragic Master. That works for Nintendo games, and you were paying probably somewhere around $12 a year for it, but that only works for games on the NES, and the original games that were released for the NES weren't anywhere as cryptic as the point-and-click adventures that were on PC.
Here we go.
The Legend of Zelda 2 was one of those rare exceptions to that, but you generally knew what you were doing in Super Mario Brothers. You were running to the right of the screen. Maybe you didn't know all the secrets and tricks, but never in a Mario Brothers game were you having to go back and forth and pick up specific items. Point-and-click adventures on consoles in particular, like, I can't think of any point-and-click adventures on NES. Those were all much more action games.
Job's done.
I think since I collected Nintendo stuff, I think I have every Nintendo Power from issue 100 to the final issue when it shut down. I think, but I could be wrong. I haven't looked at any of that stuff in a long time, or cared about it, frankly.
Job's done.
NES equals Maniac Mansion. Oh yeah, I guess Maniac Mansion. You've got me there.
Let's make
You're
magic.
right. Maniac Mansion would be
Let's
one of
make
the
magic.
one of those that was on the NES, wasn't it? Yeah. So I imagine that was really helpful. Maniac Mansion is also one of the worst examples, being the first game in the Scum series, the script creation utility for Maniac Mansion. It's right in the name.
Locked and loaded.
It's pretty complicated. That's why I would probably never play it on my channels. I would have to use a walkthrough even now, because I'd never figure it out. Like at one point, you put the hamster in the microwave, I think, is part of the solution, and the Maniac Mansion made it even more complicated because it gave you 9 characters to select from, but you needed to pick the right 3 to do it perfectly. There was another one that was an adventure game that was pretty long that I don't remember the name of. It had a piece of paper you got with the manual that you had to soak in water to get a secret message. Star Tropics, yeah. And that was a pretty cool, somewhat complicated at that point. Like, if you didn't have that manual to get the secret message, you would definitely need a hint. And it's always worth pointing out and looking to that, like, point-and-click adventures died a pretty well-deserved death because of their complicatedness and contrived solutions to so many of their puzzles. You can still see them every now getting made for nostalgia reasons, but they never became super popular. But I like them. I'll play them all once. I would love to play Timbleweed Park, get around to that eventually, and see if Ron Gilbert, how he's changed since Monkey Island 2. A lot of point-and-click adventure games now have been hybridized into hidden object games, so then the pixel hunting that you often had to do now is integrated into the game and part of the gameplay instead of just an element that was annoying before. So I need to play as many rogue cards as possible.
One kill.
2. Which, I'll keep that in mind. A lot of these are just common cards. I'm right up into I think, August and September as far as the next series I need to record. With any luck, the next thing I'll be able to do is squeeze in a completionist run through Wolfenstein: The New Order before the October month comes, and I play a bunch of October games, Halloween games. There's a couple other games that I'll need to play. I imagine there's going to be some buffer. Ideally, unless I really drop the ball after Halloween month, with all of October. It's an entire month for my channel because it takes a month for me to cover a game. I want to do a thankful Thanksgiving month in which I just go through all the games that I got free and just spotlight it. So that month might be full of little spotlights of games. Hopefully that works well and doesn't just lose a lot of audience. But who knows? People don't watch my pre-recorded videos. In a weird way, I could see shifting away from doing pre-recorded videos completely and just streaming every day, but I imagine I would bore myself and my viewers if I did that.
Ready for action.
If I was bigger, and I had more subscribers to this channel, like, I would consider making a second channel in which I just live streamed all my pre-recording things, and then it would just be a channel where whenever I was playing a game, I'd go live. I wouldn't look at the chat, I wouldn't talk to anybody. It'd still be like what I do with my pre-recorded things, but you could watch it live. It would just come up and it would just go down. I don't know if that would really appeal to a lot of people, but it might. But at the moment, having barely 160 subscribers, it doesn't make sense to make a secondary channel. One thing I can announce, however, on my channel is that turns out you can turn off the watermark now. That wasn't something I think you could have done before. So now the subscribe watermark that I have, I need one that says my logo anyways, but that watermark is only going to come up at the end of the videos, and instead of just being on all the time. Ideally, if I could make YouTube work the way I'd want, I'd say the subscribe watermark should be there for people who aren't subscribed, and then as soon as somebody subscribes, their reward is that goes away. But maybe the watermark will come back at some point in the future, in the distant future, if it turns out that people are stealing my videos and in such vast quantities that I couldn't catch them. That way you don't... I occasionally see things like Giant Bomb best of clips that are made by some other website besides Giant Bomb's website, or there's an unofficial but slightly official Giant Bomb site too that let's see, I'm just gonna do this and then this and then end the turn. All upon us. Let's see. This deck barely even has any rogue cards in it because I haven't unlocked them.
I've got a heat gun. Ready for action. For the king. For honor.
So I kind of have to power through this and just do multiple attacks. Mahmoud, after this game, I'm gonna wrap up the the recording so I can break up this footage, and then we'll continue playing. So
Ready for action.
just the ad break basically.
I'm ready.
I don't even know how to say it.
Here we go.
There is most definitely a level of professionalism and experience that YouTubers don't get because they don't work with the older experienced YouTubers in any way. So yeah, there probably is a ton of things that I should have learned immediately and I just had to learn on my own. And there's probably a ton of things I still don't know what to do. Quite right. See, I need to do 18 more rogue class cards. So that's going to be it for this recording. If you're watching live, stay tuned. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening. Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we are back to another live stream of Hearthstone. I used to say the date, and I haven't been doing that, have I? Today is July 18th, and we are playing with Mahmoud, and we have some card packs to open too, but let's start by playing with Mahmoud on the European account. He is helping me play rogue cards, and it's quite an uphill battle because I'm only at level 3, which means I only have 12 of the 20 basic rogue cards to do. And after we finish that, I'll have all 3 of the daily quests done. I will probably also have enough gold to purchase the first wing of One Night in Karazhan. Tragic Master says packs. Yes, I do have packs. I will get that done. Rogue cards are in those 2 packs. Tragic Master does make a good argument there. That is a very good argument. But then I'd have to make a new deck too. After this game with Mahmoud, I think we'll do that. We'll open the packs and we'll see if I can speed this process up and make a custom deck. See, I don't actually need victories at all.
Job's done.
And on my Hearthstone deck tracker things, it's really hard to tell if something is a rogue card or not. I was also trying to squeeze this so it doesn't take up as much space so I can get the mouse over here. So I reduced it by 90%, and I don't know if it really was worth doing that. I actually reset the location of everything too, so that I can just have a fresh start with that.
Side effects? No. Trust me.
Reporting for duty.
I'll play with the catapult a little bit over here. Charge.
For honor. Fire! To arms!
Yeah, the percentage of cards I've gotten, I've played no less than 7 cards, and not a single one of them has been rogue. Yeah, this is a mess. So my European account and then even worse for my Asian account, they definitely need work.
Job's done.
There's a lot of extra gameplay that I'm gonna have to put on it at some point. Now, I suppose it's fair to say I have zero intention on the new expansion of buying any card packs or doing anything special for the European accounts with the new expansions. It's just too much work at that point. So I won't get any improvement on my decks that way, but if I get the first wing of Nexramus, eventually I should let's see. Do we have enough? I need to do 2 more damage.
Locked and loaded.
Here we go.
Kind of laid back now, since we've covered the news, or as much as I saw. There was an interesting turn of events. One of the guys who runs PAX, I think PAX East, but maybe it was one of the other PAXs, like one of the high-up game directors liked one of my videos, and I was kind of surprised about that. That is one of the lovely things about Twitter, is that if you just kind of shout in the void in Twitter, there's a better chance of people seeing your videos, your posts, than, say, Facebook. Where Facebook is very, very much built around the idea of only really having your friends see your posts, and it's around this security concept, this false security that you really don't have. Twitter is really about famous people talking to famous people, or famous people potentially seeing your tweets, and that's, I suppose, part of the flaw with Twitter, is that nobody who just wants to talk to their friends is going to do it through Twitter. People just use Twitter to follow celebrities, and so it ends up as a very separate thing. Google Plus, when it first came out, was also a decent and interesting place to have conversations with random people, but it's so dead now. And frustratingly, YouTube has their new post system that they've announced and said everybody was going to get, but I can't do it. So they've locked me out of it. Like, I signed up for the beta. I'm still not in the beta of YouTube. I probably never will be. They said they were going to give everybody the ability to post to their challenges, to their channels, and just have like a Twitter feature built directly into YouTube, and that hasn't happened. Maybe they changed their mind on that. I wouldn't be surprised. They've announced 3-second trailers when you hover over images. That still hasn't happened on my channel. It's like, I just think my channel is probably at the bottom of the list as far as anything important. And really, I just want to get to 1,000 subscribers. I want to have 1,000 good subscribers, but I would like to get 1,000 subscribers because there's a couple of things on my channel that like would unlock at that point that would be nice, and
Face the airs of magic.
That would be cool if I had them. The super chat, I've seen people that have big followings use that super chat and really counterbalance the fact that there's not much ad revenue. Ad revenue kind of has finally started to go down on my channel. Like the last 7 days, I got like 44 cents. A week ago, it was 33 cents. Yeah, at a certain. Before it was getting closer to 88 cents, so for a week. Still, it's all chump change, of course. It's unrealistic amounts of money for anybody who's trying to make a career out of it.
Here we go.
But
Well played.
I am finally seeing that adpocalypse that people were talking about, and it's probably not even that. It's just probably a random fluctuation. Alright, so Tragic Master makes a great point. Let's open these packs. Just do it all fancy. Do the spin. Small chance there might be a legendary in here. Let's not do it fancy this time, I guess. And I don't think a single one of those is rogue. Alright. So if I make a new deck.
Wild deck, you can only use it in wild game. You can create a deck from a recipe or make one of your own. Tap near the edge of a page to flip through your collection.
I'm just gonna throw every rogue card I have in, and then we'll just fill it out with as many of these cards as possible. My deck is full. How much dust do I have? I have no dust right now, so I can disenchant 2 extra commons. Hey, and I got 95 extra dust for that. Interesting. Didn't even know that was something you got. There's so many, like, early on in the game things that you forget after years, or they weren't there when you were playing in beta, so you never saw them in the first place. Let's mark everything here as seen. That way, if I get any more cards, we kind of know what they are. This is a gold, so I should convert it to regular. Maybe I won't do that on the other one, so I'll just hold on to the golds. And there's 25 of these. I would have more gold in my main deck, but I'm specifically not trying to do it. So I saw Kriperian play ranked, and he hasn't been playing ranked in a while, I suppose, because he was all the way back to rank 22, like the lowest you could have, and frankly he was having trouble with it too. I feel like it's very possible in Hearthstone to, if you were playing since the beginning of beta, if you were really early, I feel like you had an easy street to get to those higher ranks, like legendary, rank 1, rank 5, and as long as you stayed there, you were kind of on easy street. And now it's a lot more difficult, I'm feeling, to get past rank 22, where all the competition really is happening. And if that is actually the case, then that just kind of says that the game is not balanced right, because it shouldn't work that way. Perhaps everybody should go back to rank 22 instead of maintaining it, and that would be annoying certainly to the legendary people, but it would also potentially help have more variety on who's the top tier players. And I think Kriperian in a really just kind of focuses on doing ranked, doing arena runs, and gets gold that way. And even when he just focuses on doing arena runs, he still doesn't have enough of the gold and dust that you would want.
One shot, one kill.
So now that I have a custom deck, I'm going to try to just play every card. So 22 turns. Let's see. Play every card that I think I have. So I'm going to try to play a little bit faster. We have a backstab, shadow step, and two deadly poisons that are rogue cards. A sinister strike, and maybe Jade Shuriken.
Here we go.
And sap. A fan of knives, an assassinate, and assassin's blade. So there's a considerable percentage of this deck. Fan of knives.
Here we go.
In return. There's definitely something about YouTube about streaming longer too. I feel like potentially if I could just physically endure it, which I frankly can't, I should probably try to go 4, 5, 6 hours straight on a stream. Because the longer you go, the more it seems like people get suggested the videos, more people come into the chat. It just grows and grows and grows. At least that's what it felt like in the last stream before everything fell apart because of the internet. That is super frustrating. Here it is. This is supposed to be my job, and the internet is out. I imagine if I was working any other job that I didn't care about, or was frustrated with the internet being out, would be a great day. It would be like, yay, we can all go home early, or yay, today we do nothing because the internet's out. But since I actually care about this job and care about my audience, like, the internet going out is actually incredibly frustrating. Well, actually, I know that's the case because I did work a job where every time the internet went out, we were like, yay, we don't have to work. We didn't like this job anyways. There's a certain level in which it's frustrating for a lot of people if they can't just sit still and do nothing. They want to fidget. They want to try to accomplish something.
Do you need a blessing?
But
Here we go.
Everything in moderation. You should. Most Americans, most United Statesians, are overworked and forced into working long hours, much more hours than a human being probably should. Alright, so should I play this card now, or should I go for one more sap, one more assassination? I think I've got enough of this, so I'll just do this and this in return. now would be a prime time if Mahmoud actually did need victories. Now would be the perfect time for him to tell me, but he's already gotten all of his quests done, he said. Because I could play all of the rogue cards and then have him win to take the victory. And I always want to be careful about that. I don't want to. I am definitely using my fans and getting help from my fans to get things done, but I don't want to be completely selfish about it.
Here we go.
More than I have to be. Like if they have daily quests and if they want to get that done, we can get both things done and synergize. Let's see. And I think if I heal your opponent and then do damage to your opponent, that's more experience for the character. And an efficient maneuver like that. Let's see. There's one more assassinate and one more red deadly poison, one more shadow step, and one more backstab. So at this rate, I probably should take the victory after I get one more card. Mahmoud says you must win to get experience, though. No thanks, I don't have a quest. Yeah.
What to do? What to do?
So I guess you have to win to get experience, or to get more experience. I know you get more experience if you win. They really don't explain the experience system, and it's kind of a pointless system in my opinion to begin with.
What to do?
You could easily, I think, eliminate that and then bring it back. Oh, I should have brought this guy back actually.
Ready for action.
Let's go one more card. Yeah, let's just go on all of them. Because the odds are so low now.
My hand is too full.
Yeah, it would be so easy to get rid of the leveling system at the beginning and just, after you've done those 5 tutorial missions so they know that you know how to play the game, they just, they say, here's the 20 basic cards to play with. Maybe you want to go build a deck that's different. Here's a few card packs to give you some different cards.
One shot.
And then just get rid of the leveling up system. The only thing you unlock are golden versions of the basic cards after like level 10. So level 10 to level 60 is nothing but just a vanity play.
My hand is too full.
As far as I understand it, which maybe I don't understand it completely. They didn't explain it to me.
My hand is too full.
Burn this card.
My hand is too full.
We have Journey Below and Sinister Strike.
Don't worry
I'm
about it.
almost out of cards.
Discover a Death Rattle card. Are any of these rogue cards? Nope.
I have no time for games.
So he has 2 cards,
I'm
and I
out
have
of
1
cards.
card. And we'll just play that. So that was the best deck I could make. Golden classic cards unlock as you level. Yeah, that's what I thought. And see, that skipped me probably a couple levels. And we're done. So thank you again, Mahmood, for helping me get the daily quest done. And he canceled the challenge before I could. So that's the daily quest done. We can, however, come over here. One night in Karazhan. Click here. And buy the parlor with 700 gold. Which is, this is what we wanted. Get that sweet golden shatter sun cleric at level 60 priest. Like, the only time I want any of that though is when I have a complete set of gold cards. So maybe when they bring back the other cards, I could get 700 gold and do get the old solo adventures. That would be nice. And maybe if I could spare $5, I'd buy this $5 welcome pack. Like, so my next step would be to get 700 gold, and I have to play Karazhan at some point, and I don't think I'd ever do that on screen. Now let's go ahead and quit out of the European account and switch over to the Asia account for a second. Like, I don't really think I have time to play the Asian account, and unlike the European account, there's nobody's ever friended me, so like exactly 0 friends. So I can't trade any of these. So I'm hoping what happens is when the Firestorm Festival happens, these don't drop down to 40. And I only have 440 gold, and I have these 3 packs. And I think I'm just going to keep these 3 packs until we have an Asian fan. So if anybody knows anybody that plays the Asia accounts, and they can convince them to friend, follow me, and subscribe, they're going to get a pretty big welcome party in which I'm going to ask them to play me and get all the daily quests done, and I'm going to open at least 3 card packs if I don't get any more. I could have had more card packs. Did you finish the North America quest? I can help you. No, I have not finished any of the North America quest, and that is exactly what I was hoping for, Tragic Master. Let's see. Wild here. What was I trying to win at? I'm going to cancel this just for a second because I didn't read what I was supposed to do. Rogue. Rogue or warrior. Alright, good. I would recommend then everybody go into their Asian and European account anytime that you get free card packs. So if they're doing everybody gets a free card pack experience, if you see on Twitter Hearthstone is giving you free card packs if you pick your champion in the latest esports event, which they do every now and then, you go into every different account. That way you'll just have these piles of extra card packs in case you ever actually want to play on a different server. I don't see why any real people would, regular people would want to do that though, but you might as well, just in case. Potentially there may be some huge merger at which point all the card packs might come back to the single merged account, and if that happened, then you would have a lot of extra dusts and gold from it. Well, not gold, but dust. So I need to play things that cost 2 or less, and I need to get victories. And Tragic Master, let me know if there's anything you need to have done as far as daily quests, so we can help each other. It's gonna be a while. It'll probably be at least 4 or 5 games, but after that I think we'll be done for today, since news was kind of short, and unless people have a lot of things that they want to talk about or ask about in the chat. I guess I can ask, since my trusted chat is here. We haven't seen a troll yet. Is there something I put in the chat rules that is stifling conversation or offensive or something? I know I put video game talk only. I plan to be more lenient on that than strict, but in general I don't want trolls coming in asking me political questions that I don't know the answer and I'm not qualified to answer.
Tonight, a tale of wonder and magic. Behold the rage of the Firelands.
And certainly there's a high potential that I missed some kind of news story, the video game related news story that I might need to do. People might need to bring up. Yeah, I want to do as much as possible to encourage the chat, not only between me and the chat, but also between other chat members, so we can try to build a community and a friendship. Which is a weird thing, because I'm older than most video game people, and I'm not in college or school or in a work position where you can have that video game fan community. I've tried to look at a few of the Facebook groups, and those are just so full of memes and people trying to start comment wars that it's not really, it doesn't have that community feel that I would like. So it's hard to find people that you would want to call your peers.
Settle the ship.
Let's see, I need victories quickly. So I'm just gonna go like this. Yeah. I don't think I do need to play cards that cost 2 or less, was the other quest, but I think I'll get that done no matter what. Tragic Master, I am video game people since 1984. So you've been playing video games since 1984, or you've been born in 1984? Because that would have been the year after the NES came out, which is most of all of the second generation of video games.
Time waits for no one.
Yeah, I'm certainly would classify myself as video game person too. I was super obsessed with Nintendo and always playing games. I spent way more of my life playing video games than doing anything else. Eventually kind of just burned out of Nintendo when the Xbox 360 was a couple years old. There was a period in between that before I got the Xbox 360 though, where I wasn't really playing anything. I got the Wii. I played it for maybe a year or two and then got bored with it, and then I honestly got a job that took up all of my time for nearly 5 years, and literally there was nothing else I could even do with my life. It was just wake up and go to work and then go to sleep and wake up the next day and go to work again. And there was because of that, I didn't play any games, and eventually I came back to it. For a while there, I honestly thought I was kind of not ever going to be back into games as much as possible. And that was kind of true. I played the 360 for a while, and then there was a little bit of another break where I wasn't playing games. I don't think I've ever seen this card.
Here we go.
Whenever this card attacks, add a random card to your hand from your opponent's class. I don't think I have this. Must have gotten it. I don't know why my Hearthstone deck tracker is not working either. It didn't recognize this deck. And so I wasn't really even playing video games that much until I decided a couple of years ago to make a YouTube channel.
Here we go.
Well, no, I got back into playing games about a year before, about 3 years ago. I was playing them on my gaming laptop, and then after about a year of playing it on my gaming laptop and watching a lot of other people stream, I one day just said, you know what? I'm playing these games anyways. Nobody is around. Nobody's seeing any record of this. And I said to myself, you know what? I might as well, since you can just do it for free on YouTube, I might as well just make it a vlog type thing. Just a diary that I'm actually doing something with my life. Even if nobody else appreciates it or understands it, at least I'm not just sleeping all day. And then maybe my nieces and nephews in 10 or 20 years might stumble upon it and say, oh, he actually did do something with his life. And maybe they would think it's interesting, or at the very least it's a form of diary that I would never do like a real diary. I would never write down in a diary what I'm doing or document what's going on with my life. And looking back, there's been many years where I could wrap up entire years with a single sentence. Like, I worked at a job for an entire year. That I could say that for 5 years straight and have nothing else to say that was interesting. Tragic Master said he started with the first 16-bit system in television. He was 4 in 1984. So he's one console before me, because I started with the Nintendo Entertainment System.
I have no time for games.
Yeah. I'm not sure I'd ever want to go back and play any of the Intellivision games, though. The limitations are just too high. Like the NES games, there's a good collection of ones that are worth playing for historic value and nostalgia. But I don't think you have to be a real big fan to want to play an Intellivision game. Maybe there's a couple out there that are good that I'm not thinking of.
Who goes there?
Here we go. What, Tragic Master, what was your favorite Intellivision game? Yeah, so I started my channel saying, you know what, might as well do it. It probably will never succeed. Don't go into it assuming you'll succeed. 2 years into it, it succeeded a lot more than I originally suspected it would. I would have, on my first stream, assumed I would have never had more than 5 subscribers, and I would never get any views on anything. And here I have 160 plus subscribers and almost 200,000 views. Numbers that are big enough to go on a resume to say, look, I was really doing this job. Maybe if the person looking at the resume knew a little bit more about YouTube, they'd go, well, 200,000 views isn't really that much.
Time waits for no one.
Tragic Master's favorite game was the 3-in-1 game Biplanes. Now, was that one of those games where it was just dots on the screen, but you had a plastic overlay that you taped to the screen, and there was like 3 different overlays? Like, that's what I'm thinking it was. I got this weird, like, projector-based game once from like a Toys R Us that I don't know if they imported it from China or what. It was not a big seller, and I'd never have heard or seen of it before. But it was a cartridge you plugged in that had an LCD screen in the cartridge, and then there was a projector bulb, and it just projected the light through the LCD screen onto the wall. And when you got a different cartridge and plugged it in, it would completely be a different LCD screen.
Who dares defile this ancient land?
Here we go.
But I never had that. I got the Virtual Boy when it was brand new. Boy, was that... Like, it was lucky to get the Virtual Boy when it was brand new, because it went out of sale and got returned in droves. So there was a very short time you could have gotten a Virtual Boy very cheap, but you had to be very quick, because it went from being clearance for like less than half of its original price to just not available for purchase at all, very quickly. And while the Virtual Boy did majorly suffer as trying to be this portable thing and being a red and black monochrome setup, let's see, 20 minions that cost 5 or more. Oh, I'm supposed to be playing 5 or more? Darn it. Three games, 1 card. A race, a tank game, and a playing game. Good game. I probably need to do some more research and get into understanding some of the more retro games more.
Versus Valera.
My grandfather bought a Pong machine, and I think he probably bought it in the 70s, or maybe the 80s, because it wasn't just Pong. It was 12 different versions of Pong, but it was still always a black screen with a white dot that you hooked up. It had a zapper attachment in it, so it wasn't that. It was a later version of one of those Pong machines, but didn't have any cartridges or anything, and he just kind of kept it in his closet for the rest of his life. It sat around probably for 30 to 40 years. Well, no, I'd say probably 30 years. And every time we would visit him, we would go ahead and hook it up, because it was either we brought our own Game Boys or our own systems, or we played that, and he didn't have any real care for the system. He just got it for his grandkids to play, and he didn't have any cable or anything. So probably 25 years after that game console came out, we were still playing it every now and then. Shame it got lost to the end of time, I suppose. There, otherwise, I kind of wish I could still have that. I would have put it in my collection of other video games I'd probably never play again. Judge Master says the playing game you could fly out the left side of the screen and pop in on the right side. Lol made it awesome. He said our Pong game was right next to the Intellivision. Well, I know the Intellivision had a Pong cartridge, but it wouldn't be unheard of for people to buy a Pong game and an Intellivision. The Atari Classic is working its way to being kickstarted, and so I wouldn't be surprised if there's an Intellivision, or maybe that is the Intellivision. Yep. I still need to get an SNES again. Frown face. Tragic Master is doing a lot of emoji, but I'm not reading the emoji part. Like, I think in my garage I have probably 2 SNESs and probably 2 or 3 NESs. But that being said, I'm not sure any of them are in any kind of shape that they would work. And frankly, the way Nintendo works, you're probably better off just doing a RetroPie setup and finding those ROMs wherever you can get them for SNES games and NES games and older games. The RetroPie seems to even moderately handle Nintendo 64 games, so there's probably decent compatibility there. Or you could get the SNES Classic. That is going to be available if you can get that, and then maybe there will be a hack out there that puts some more games on the SNES Classic. So I've been playing wrong. I needed to play things that cost 5 mana or more, not things that cost 2 mana. I totally misread the quest. One of the things that's a little disheartening, it's a weird way to look at it, but when I was young collecting the Nintendo Entertainment Systems and everything Nintendo, like, I really thought that this was going to be like an Action Comics Volume 1 situation where everybody else was going to throw them away and break them, and it was going to be super rare. I wasn't really looking at it from the perspective of making money, but I thought, yes, I was going to have a museum someday, and they were going to, and all these Nintendo things that only I was smart enough to hold on to forever were going to be there. And kind of disappointing to that fantasy. It's not the case. It's super easy to find an NES. It's super easy to find a Super NES. You can go into a bunch of pawn shops today and see them still on sale and overpriced at that.
Justice is mine.
Everybody was collecting them. Unlike Action Comics Volume 1, where people didn't think that it would be worth anything, and kids were just tearing them up and destroying them. Kids were a little bit more careful with their NESs because they were more expensive. They weren't carrying them in their back pockets like you would a comic book. The device would stop functioning and being entertaining if it was broken, so you had to be more careful with that. So yeah, I have this huge collection of Nintendo stuff, and now I'm just all blasé, and I just don't care about it, and I just need to give it away to a museum and just like take it, do whatever you can do with it. If you throw it all away, I found that is one of the ways to get rid of things that is to give it to a library, even if you, in the back of your head, know the library is just going to throw it away eventually or immediately. Just hand it to somebody else and feel like you've done a good deed, even if you've really just handed a bunch of unwanted things. But I've tried to be a lot more minimalistic. I used to be obsessive about the Pokemon gotta catch 'em all. I was that way decades before Pokemon came out, and now I'm just like, I don't need things in my life. Get rid of most of it. Most of it's not useful. Follow the 1 year rule. If you don't use it in 1 year, get rid of it and buy it again when you do need it. Tragic Master says, Oregon Trailer was the best way to grow up. I still think I could die from cholera at any second because of that game. Cholera, not as big of an issue these days. I played some game on, I believe, Apple II PCs in either kindergarten or first grade, and it was this weird game, educational game, that I could never figure out the name of or remember, because it was like in color, but at a time when computers shouldn't have been in color, so I don't know how that was happening. It may not have actually been a PC at all. It may have just been some kind of video games console designed to look like a PC in the school. And you were this character that was going through a cave, and it was kind of like Another World, or the game before Another World. But it definitely wasn't those games. This was years and years before then. And you were going through this cave, and you had to hit the buttons at the very time. I don't even know if there really was anything educational in it. It seemed just like they wanted us to get used to using computers. And I was very lucky because I was in some school systems where they very intentionally tried to expose computers to the young kids way before other kids, and then I went to a different school system where they didn't really care about computers, and it was in a different city that didn't really care about computers, and so I immediately was assumed to be this ultra elite hacker because in kindergarten and first grade I had touched a computer and knew how it worked somewhat. Enough knew how the keyboard to work. Kind of similarly, kind of how kids these days, they all know how iPhones work, and they look a lot smarter on computers than probably they would have a kid from a couple decades would have. And then I kind of, we did Where in the World was Carmen Sandiego. I don't know if we did too much of Oregon Trail. I definitely played it, but it wasn't one of my favorites. They were always trying to do educational games and a bunch of things like that. And oddly, a lot of the educational games, even though they look really bad, mostly still playable these days. Particularly if it's just a spelling or a math game. It's not like early elementary spelling or math is changed that much. And then I had computers in my house very, very early. We had like a Packard Bell too, and we had a Tandy too, but I think we got the Tandy to before we got the other one. He beat me. Tragic Master, you beat me. Remember, I'm still looking for victories. He probably forgot, or maybe he's just trolling me a little bit. Yeah, so I was surrounded by computers almost all of my childhood or game consoles. And plenty of opportunities to play video games, which gave me plenty of opportunities to ignore the real world and underdeveloped social skills, which is a weird thing to say considering what I do now. But yeah, I ignored the real world. I ignored going outside and playing. I focused very heavily and very obsessively on video games. There is this new Oregon Trail that's available on Steam that I've thought about playing. I don't really want to do it because it's kind of a gag game. That Tragic Masters. Oh, I forgot. I thought you were playing Card Quest. My bad. Yeah, I'm doing 3 different daily quests right now, trying to overlap them. I need 7 victories. I need, I think, 1 more victory with a rogue, and I need to play cards that cost 5 or more. And so after I get the next victory with the rogue, I can switch my deck out to my 8+ deck with the druid, and we can play more cards faster to
Is someone injured?
to get that. Yeah, I figured you forgot. I totally do that too. It's one of the major reasons why I'm never really that good at Hearthstone, is because I'm sitting here talking and just having fun instead of really focusing and just playing the game. And that is one of the things that when I see a snippet of Kriperian playing, is he often is just kind of sitting back and focusing on the game some more and thinking about the strategies a little bit more than I do. And he also has somebody that's filtering his messages for him, so he's not responding to everything that's going through his chat, which is probably a ton of stuff going through his chat. Although it is worth saying that just yesterday I was wondering if all of my early exposures to computers really changed much, because there was a real feeling that there would be no labor at all, like no labor jobs in the future by now. It would all be computers, and we kind of jumped the gun on that. Because it went from, like, we don't need you working in a assembly line building cars, to we don't need you at all because we have an AI bot that can just do your job, or we have automation in the computers. So there are a few computer operators and there are a few IT people, but when you look at the number of IT employees, it's a ridiculously small number in a company. It's like one guy can cover a company of 1,000 desktop PCs. Whereas when I was growing up, I think my parents definitely were given the message, and it was the thought in general that every single job, every single secretary, every single paper pusher, every single person was going to be working on a computer but still have their job. And that's not what happened. What happened is computers came in, automation came in, and those people lost their jobs and had to go get lower paying, lesser desirable jobs. And a lot of them ended up working at jobs like McDonald's or Walmart. I do believe that Walmart is the #1 employer of people over like 50. Like one of the jobs I worked at had this old lady that she was in her like 65 or 70 years old, and she was working at that job and at Walmart, and eventually she just couldn't do it anymore because she was doing so much, spending so much effort there, and she's exerting herself way too much, that she quit the job that she shared with me to go work and be a manager at Walmart, because the hours were better and the pay was better. Tragic Master says, for sure, look at the auto industry in Detroit. Same thing. Yeah. Yeah. Detroit's a real sad statement, too, because it, in all honesty, it probably should have never popped up. I have this internal bias where I hate cars, and I feel like they've done a lot of negative things to society over time. They've ruined the environment. They've made being late to a job or a meeting a much bigger deal, because before, if your horse was slow, nobody even cared. It was a much more laid back environment in the olden days. Cars have also allowed cities to sprawl and grow bigger, and it's destroyed small communities. But ignoring all of my hate for cars, and I wish they were never invented, but how would you? They never have been. The Detroit auto industry popped up for cars, and then got way too big, and it never for a second thought about what are we gonna do when this money train runs out. And it destroyed pretty much the city. Like, there's really not too much more you can say about it. The auto industry destroyed the city. Because it's the lottery syndrome, where poor people win the lottery, and most of them spend all of the money and are back to being poor in 4 years or so. They just didn't manage it, and a lot of that really goes on to the auto unions' lack of precision and foresight. But they would have had to have a lot of foresight. They do things like try to job pools, so if somebody is taken on, if they don't have a job for them right now in the auto industry, they have them go work and take training in a job pool, and then when there is a new job, they go back to work for the auto industry. But they needed a longer term plan, something that would have paid for a pension for all those people for really early. And even if they had managed to give every single union worker in the auto industry a pension for working in the factory, even for like 5 years, that's only one generation, so there was never a multi-generational foresight. So the kids of the auto workers, they all have to leave Detroit because there's no jobs there. I suppose a lot of that also falls right onto the city council of Detroit, because at some point I would imagine there was a ton of money coming in from taxes from the auto industry in Detroit, and they should have spent that money to build better roads, lower taxes on bringing in other kinds of industries. The idea that one industry would maintain a town is crazy, and not how you should have done things. This is an interesting tactic Tragic Master is doing here. So there's a little bit of blame to go around. There's a lot of bit of blame for the CEOs trying to get more money, and let's see. None of these cards are 5, so I'm just gonna do this.
Golden epic!
Let's see. Now I need to remember I'm trying to win here, on top of playing cards that cost 5 or more.
Job's done. My hand is too full.
If I want to go into more economics, I would suggest, and nobody would ever buy this, or it would never get implemented in the United States, but I would suggest just introducing the concept of a wealth maximum that you can't. We won't allow a 0.01% of the population. Just pick your number. Say that at most a company can be worth $1 trillion. At most, an individual can have $10 billion worth of assets. And anything above that, I would say 50% of everything above that gets either taxed or you can give it away to actual charities of your pick. So rich people over the years can say, look, I've got this extra money, I can give it to a charity, and spread it amongst other charities, because the charities themselves could only have so much before they would get taxed too. So that way charities aren't like a tax haven or tax loop. And just say, look, there's going to be a maximum. You can only have 5 houses. You can only have 100 cars. Whatever the maximum is, even if it's a ridiculously high number and it only affects 5 people in the real world, just introduce that idea, and as inflation happens, don't raise that maximum. And at a certain point, just say, look, since there is an absolute zero of, you can be so poor you have $0 in assets and $0 in the bank, there should be an absolute maximum. And just take the rest in taxes, use those taxes for hopefully good, or at least moderately good, social services. You would probably have more than enough money to fund all of a single payer system of healthcare in the United States. If you did that, you'd probably have more than enough money to fund most social services. There would probably be much better and many more roads out there, interstate roads, much better school systems. The United States is horrible about underfunding its school systems and things like that. So we're not investing in our own youth to the point where it's easier and cheaper to just import people from other countries because we've so undereducated and our own people. Just embrace a little bit of socialism, just a tiny bit. Just say you can't be filthy stinking rich, you can only be filthy rich. And yeah, it would never get implemented, but I think that would fix a lot of things right there. And for a city like Detroit, I think with their city council, their state, and their federal government taking more of an interest in actually caring about people, which they certainly don't, we could do something to put them to work. We could do something. We could build a military base there, certainly. Why don't we have the United States' largest military base in the middle of Detroit right now? If there was a huge training base there and we employed a significant portion of the city, that wouldn't be bad. See, now I want to play this, but I think I might be good otherwise. No, because I have to kill this guy.
Hunt them down.
Remember, I'm trying to win the power of Cho. Lower Walker Cho, double Lower Walker Cho.
Hand is too full.
But yeah, I've said those economic ideas many times, and I'm just kind of spitting in the wind with it because it's certainly not where the United States wants to go, and most of the people don't think it would work or don't want to give it a chance even if it would work. There's a lot of things in the United States that have been proven to work in other countries that we still would refuse to do, just because propaganda against it is so strong.
Nice little raptors.
What I'm noticing here that's kind of interesting is when you open this, it's supposed to add 5 cards to your hand, but it only adds as many as you have space for.
Whoa, legendary.
So I need this to hit either this or this. I keep getting stymied with taunt characters. 4 more cards to 17 more cards. I probably have already played the ones that cost 5 or more, which means then we only need quick victories, and if that is the case, then we can try my Murloc deck and go for a quick victory that way, instead of playing the Druid deck that was 8 or more. Since this game is dragged on because of the double Lore Walker shows. I'm still not sure that there's a great strategy to actually play Lore Walker show though. Like, maybe I'm not looking
Not quite what was planned.
quite right, but is there a way I could damage some other people? Nope.
Taste the flames of Soldier!
My hand is too full.
So I could play this, but I need to play this first. Replace your decks with copies of Discover a Card. So here's an interesting thought. What if you played Lore Walker Cho and then you played the quest card? Could you give a quest to a different character? And if you do that, what if you satisfy the quest card? Does Lore Walker Cho then give a copy to you? Well, I guess it doesn't matter. If you satisfy the quest and then play that spell, Lore Walker Cho will definitely give you a copy of this. There's probably some weird combination between Lore Walker Cho and quest that would do something very weird. I don't think it would probably do anything that strategically valuable, but interesting. So we played this first, and do this again.
Golden epic.
And I need to probably play some other things. Give me Wind Fury.
Job's done.
Yes, you can give any spells. Presents for everyone, says Tragic Master. I'd like to. I'm gonna check that in the collection when we're done here. Go look at all the legendary quests and see what Lord Walker Cho would hand to the other player. But that'll probably be also the last time I ever look at the quest cards. I hope there's more quest cards in the next expansion, so it continues. But Blizzard has a pretty established pattern of not doing anything that they've done before. They always just go on a new path and never finish the old path.
Well played.
Alright, let's see. Vine Cleaver. And this. Now all my cards are just discovered cards. But I think I'm good, so.
Reporting for duty. You die now.
So hopefully that will have got one quest done. Yes. Only the Mighty now done. And now we need one more Victor's Rogue and Warrior. And then I could do Murloc. Good game, says Tragic Master. I suppose GG spam in the chat would be a great way to get more comments per minute. It's like maybe if I was more of a shill, which I probably should be, I should say, tell everybody watching now, hit GG in the chat. I really don't like how YouTube kind of values comments per minute. They have this thing. That was my fun deck. I call it "Put Your Faith in the Cho." Hey, extra effort applauded there for naming your deck.
Legions I command.
Yeah, I don't feel like that's the right valuation for YouTube, though. Is just the fact that you're getting everybody to spam a bunch of things, because then the bigger chats on bigger channels, you see they just kind of encourage people to spout nonsense in the chat, and it works for them and gets their videos promoted instead of having good quality content and good quality discussions. Man, you use awake words low.
Why do you
JK. Awake words. Do you mean like woke? Is that what you mean?
You're dead.
Or do I say the word awake a lot? I hate to ask somebody to explain their joke, but I actually want to get it.
Oh, goody.
I wouldn't refer to myself as woke. I would refer to myself as perhaps more informed than most, or reasonable, but I would never use the phrase woke. I don't even know if I fully understand it as a phrase.
Yeah!
Oh, goody.
No, it's a term coined to those who seek truth. Well, yeah, I guess I do seek truth if that's the definition you're putting to it. Yeah, I do. People who know things tend to be known as awake. Well, there's another phrase you can look up called woke that are people who claim to know things too. And I don't know if that's the same group or a different group. the funny thing here is that asterisk tend, yeah. The funny thing here is I can't really disagree with Tragic Master. It's like, because the only thing I can say is no, I'm a sheeple, I'm asleep. I don't know anything. And that's not true at all. Yeah. I spent a lot of time in my youth not listening to teachers. And in not listening to teachers, I decided to learn the things that I really did want to learn, and learn them from the perspective and from my own observations. So, while it will certainly get you kicked out of a lot of classrooms, as it did, it will also give you a different perspective. And I definitely felt that most of the other kids in my school, in my classroom, were just obeying rules and being grass-fed, whatever the books say. And I didn't ever really care what books said until I did care about what the book said and wanted to learn it for myself. There's certainly something much better about learning things when you want to learn things versus memorizing things to pass a test. And I never cared about tests. By all rights, I should have been kicked out of school in elementary school. But I had very persistent parents that managed to force the schools to keep me, but I never did any of the work. I never turned in any of the papers. I wrote maybe one essay in 18 years of school. Never read any books, never did anything, and yet somehow they'd give me a test and I would just fill in random answers and they'd give me a D and I'd just move on, and I'm like, I don't care. I don't care about anything that they were teaching, and frankly, nothing that they were teaching in school mattered. And the things I did care about, I had a lot more time to think about. And I imagine it's a personality thing. I don't think it was just I got lucky. I think you have to be a very special personality to end up like me. I imagine most kids just wanted to be popular and with the in crowd. I never cared anything about that. And so by willing to not fit in, I was able to do a lot and learn a lot more and a lot different things. And there is a certain level too of just a lot of people don't like learning in general, which is a sad statement. I love learning things as long as they're things that I care about, and almost anything could be interesting. I'm trying to figure out, like right now, why there are so many makeup channels on YouTube. That one has got me confused, because I'm trying to imagine if there's just a bunch of teenage girls that watch YouTube for makeup hints, or if it's just that YouTube promotes those channels because they're relatively harmless and it's an easy thing to promote. But I don't know. Tragic Master, getting back probably closer to what he was talking about. I only claim to know what I can see and test for myself now, after learning that what most people know to be true was just a lie passed down from hundreds of years, if not thousands. Yep, that is certainly one way to live. You have to look at everything with a critical eye, but there's a certain danger in shutting yourself off too much. Like, for instance, if you only claim to know what you see, then you can't claim to know that gravity exists because you can't see gravity, but you can certainly see the effects of gravity, and you can probably trust that the idea of gravity is for the most part accurate. The theory of gravity is for the most part accurate. Some people will go too far in the other extreme and say, no, I don't believe gravity exists, or I don't believe gravity. Well, yeah, there are people out there that say that they believe that there is no gravity and that the Earth is flat because they can't see gravity and it's not a thing that exists. So there's being skeptical, and then there's being overly skeptical. Everything in moderation, like as it goes. And most certainly there were a lot of misdiagnosis, misthoughts in our history. Ironically, there was probably a lot of technology and knowledge that was accurate or accurate enough, and it got lost. Tragic Master goes, exactly, gravity does not exist, it's only in your imagination. The Library of Alexandria had a lot of knowledge in it, but they didn't share it with people, and the peasants got paranoid about that and burnt it down. There's been some batteries that we found from ancient Egypt, so battery technology, at least on some part, existed, and we lost it in the sands of time. The Dark Ages certainly destroyed probably a lot of art and literature. The Inquisition most definitely did, too. We could be a lot further along in our knowledge development if a few events hadn't happened. Ironically, war has probably progressed our technology quite a bit. Probably not as much as the space race, but a decent amount. At the cost of human lives.
Is mine.
Job's done.
There is, of course, a danger in a conversation like this with Tragic Master, because all I have to do is throw out the one thing that he does believe in, and then people a lot on the internet these days get into this identity politics. What, you don't believe that Muhammad Ali is the best boxer ever? Well, then we can't be friends and we can't have a conversation because you're clearly an idiot. It's like, no, we just have different opinions. It's like we don't have to agree 100% with everything. I'm not saying Tragic Master would do that, but there's definitely a risk of people getting irritated that way. That's why I use the phrase where I said last stream, I don't want my chat full of angry people. It's a lot of ranting, a lot of craziness. Alright, so I need one more victory here with this character, and then I think I can play with my Murloc deck and get the second victory kind of quickly. And Tragic Master's showing off a pretty good deck with Death Rattle. It's probably one that could win with. Tragic Master says, density explained everything before gravity existed. Gravity only shows up when you need to imagine the curve of the Earth or explain how water curves around a planet. Smiley face. And not knowing his voice, I don't know if he's trolling now or if he's serious.
Justice is mine.
And if he is serious, I have to just give up immediately, because I don't understand gravity enough to actually argue with somebody who actually believes the world is flat. I'd have to just say, seek more informed sources than me.
Total corruption. Total power.
Let's show our guests a good time.
Justice is mine.
Job done. Oh.
I'll never tell.
So that's 5 games with the warrior, and now I just need 2 more games any mode. So yeah, 2 more victories with Murloc if Tragic Master still wants to play me. Otherwise I'd have to struggle and just play it through casual, unless somebody else on the chat wants to play. Nobody else has been in the chat. Loki's still suffering, I imagine, from not having a new phone that tells him when I'm streaming.
I will fight with honor.
Or maybe he just doesn't want to watch me or join the chat today, which is possible too. I'm still getting a feeling on fans. Definitely. It's like some fans seem to come in big and burn bright, but then they... Wow, man, I could have done a whole nother episode. This is just going to be 1 hour and a half long secondary episode. They seem to burn big and bright, and then they get a little bored with Hearthstone, and they get a little bored with me, and then they kind of wander off. Sometimes they come back, sometimes they don't. Tragic Master, it's something to look into, but be true to yourself. Don't look at it from points of views, but only the facts. It gets crazy.
I wonder.
I probably should have saved my coin or used the coin and played this guy first.
Put this apple on your head.
Behold the rage of the Firelands.
Deal 1 damage here, I guess. Play this. And play this. Just trying to rush her. Am I in no deck mode? Let me look at my Hearthstone deck tracker, and I am in no deck mode. I don't know how that it must go to no deck mode on Hearthstone deck tracker when you switch accounts. Did I read Tragic Master's last thing? He said that it's something to look into, but be true to yourself. Don't look at it from points of views, but only from the facts. It gets crazy. From what I've seen, and again, like I just don't. I'm not gonna be able to argue the point that I believe the Earth is round. But from what I've seen, it seems like just a silly conspiracy to have. Like, the problem with most conspiracy theories is you assume that whoever's creating the conspiracy is so good at keeping a secret that they never let it. Oh man, I played that wrong. That they never gonna let anything slip. And then when you compare that to the things that were attempted to be conspiracy, like the Watergate and cover up, and the Bill Clinton cover up with Monica Lewinsky, it all comes out. Somebody always leaks something. So I don't understand why people would propagate the idea that the Earth was round if it was flat. I don't understand what the point of that would be. I don't understand how you explain the positioning of the stars and without the world being planned, or the spinning of the sun, or why every other planet in the universe seems to be a spherical shape, yet Earth for some reason is flat. It's kind of like the contrivances, the explanations for all that seem like they get so unrealistic that it doesn't make logical sense on the face of it. You start to put like Occam's razor to it, and it's like, this doesn't make any sense in the first place. I suppose maybe flat earthers say all the planets are flat, or all the other planets that are round are fake or forgeries.
I got the best deals anywhere.
For sure, man. Okay, if one thing, water always finds its own level, correct? In a cup or in a tub, in a pool. Why not in the ocean? Doesn't it? In the ocean? Ignoring the fact that there are tides and winds blowing the oceans, they are all level with each other. From the center of a spherical planet, the water, for the most part, is all the same level. It's not higher in one section and like 1,000 miles lower in another.
I wonder.
Even if it was, like, density is what creates gravity, so if it's possible that there would be micro fluctuations of gravity on the planet, you might be a little bit lighter at the North Pole than on the equator by a few fractions of a gram.
I wonder.
See, there's this thing that they use in naval travel, where you can look at the stars, at the North Star, and it points a specific angle at a specific time. And as long as your watches are accurate, which is why watch technology developed a lot faster than a lot of other technologies, you knew what your, I believe it was either latitude or longitude was, because of the angle of the North Star being the same at a specific time. And it really only works if the world is a sphere, if the planet's a sphere. And so, if the world was flat, then the conspiracy to convince people that the world wasn't flat has to be like thousands of years old for some ridiculous purpose. That water would have to curve at some point on a ball. Sexton, he says, is the name of it. Well, okay, yes, the water does gradually curve because the water molecules are attracted to each other and want to stay connected. At a microscopic level, however, what you're calling a curve would actually be stair steps, because there would be one atom that was leveled, and then the next level atom would be one stair step lower, and then the next atom would be one stair step lower. Atomically speaking, and even subatomically, since everything eventually breaks down into one unit that can then be broken down into multiples of other units, there's no such thing as curves. It's just a matter of perspective. If you looked at the atomic level, one atom would be leveled off to its influence of gravity. The next atom would be leveled off to the next influence of gravity, and then the next atom would be leveled off. But because atoms of water are connected to each other, and because you're looking at it from a very far perspective, it looks like a curve. But water molecules never stack or bunch to support itself, always flat. Of course they stack and bunch to support themselves. There's thousands of water molecules in a drop of water. They just spread out because gravity is pulling them down, and distributing it on the surface that they're sitting on. But if we're flying through space and at ridiculous speeds, stars would be different almost every night, not the same. Well, we're flying through space at the relative same speeds as all the other stars. So everything is flying. There was a Big Bang. It caused the universe to expand. Everything is traveling at relatively the same speed. The slight differences that we will see of changes in relative speed to our movement will not be noticed until thousands and thousands of years happen. And that's on top of confusing the issue even more, because what we see from the stars is light that left those stars from thousands and thousands of years previously. And why would, even if the world was flat, I think you still probably would have to either make the argument that nothing is moving at all in space, at all, or the flat world is moving just like the regular world is moving.
Job's done.
We're gonna have to wrap up after this game. We've been going long enough. I'll get the last one off screen, but I'm hearing this strange banging in my house. I need to go check out just to see if something's going on. I sure am not winning. 57% win ratio with the Murloc deck, and Tragic Master is holding me down, holding me back pretty well. This in the turn.
I'm out of cards.
But he's out of cards now, so he's gonna start taking damage. And I have 7 cards to go. Every theory you're using to explain each other are just imagination at work, no proof for anything you're saying, which was my initial point. Well, that's right where I get down to the point where I would say, yes, I'm going to have to put the burden on you to go read the scientific papers and see how they explain it using math and calculations that are based on observations of what actually happens in reality, which means you probably, if you're really willing to learn all of that, are going to have to read a significant amount of papers there.
Job's done.
I would argue, however, there are scientific papers that back the concepts I've been talking about, whereas there's literally none that back the flat earth theory. But yes, you can constantly, and that's what every conversation can easily be broken down to, is that every scientific theory, every concept is just the work of somebody's imagination. And if I don't want to believe what other people say they believe or can prove, and if I don't want to do the research, which is a lot of research, and look at the scientific papers, or if I don't want to believe science, then yeah, it's easy to not do that, to stay within your own opinion. Well, because of the banging, just be smart enough to research what you were taught. People are smart enough to learn what they are taught, but not smart enough to question what they are taught. Well, I'll leave it at that with Tragic Master. Give him the last word. That's it for this stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.